My name is Brenda, and this is History Coles Notes, so let's get started. I think it's safe to say that most people has heard about the Salem witch trials. These began during the spring of 1692 after a group of young girls in Salem Village, which was located in Massachusetts in the United States, claimed to be possessed by the devil due to the action of several local women who just happened to be witches. A wave of hysteria flew through colonial Massachusetts, and a special court was convened in Salem to hear these cases. The first convicted was hanged that June. 18 more people followed, with approximately 150 more men, women, and children being accused over the next several months. By September of 1692, this hysteria started to subside, and the public, they condemned these trials. Although the Massachusetts General Court later voided the guilty decisions against the accused, bitterness remained in the community along with a painful legacy of these actions for centuries. Now, to try to understand how and why this could happen, we need to understand the ideology of the citizens in Salem during these times. The belief in the supernatural and the devil was widespread in colonial New England. Their belief that the devil was giving certain humans powers to cause harm in return for their loyalty emerged in Europe as early as the 14th century. In addition to this, the hardships during this time for the citizens of Salem included the after effects of a British war against France in the American colonies in 1689, a smallpox epidemic, the fear of attacks from local indigenous nations, and on the top of this, there was infighting occurring between the more affluent members of this community. With all these simmering tensions, the trials were fueled by the residents' suspicions and resentment towards their neighbors and their fear of outsiders. But is this enough to start a community down the road towards false allegations and hate? Well, as we learned in the recent past, when things go how people don't want them to go, it's a lot easier to blame and persecute others. It literally can just be that simple, but in this case, there are some other theories. The first has to do with climate change. During 1550 to 1800, the temperatures cooled around the Salem area. This caused an economic deterioration and food shortages, which added additional stresses to those living in Salem at that time. Some experts believe that this economic hardship was a contributing factor to the widespread scapegoating, which manifested itself as the persecution of the so-called witches. This was due in part to their belief that witches were out there actively plotting to cause physical harm and that they controlled natural forces. But other experts have more physiological theories on why this could have happened: ergot poisoning and undiagnosed encephalitis. Scientists have discovered that during the witch trials, the growing seasons were particularly wet. This can cause a mold called ergot to grow in rye and other grains, which was a major staple of the diets in that area during that time. Ergot poisoning can produce hallucinations, vertigo, crawling sensation on one's skin, tingling in one's extremities, headaches, and seizure-like muscle contractions. Due to the damp climate and the long storage period of grain, it easily could have led to ergot infesting Salem's grain supplies. Now, the other more controversial theory that aligns with this is that the original girls suffered from encephalitis. This is an inflammation of the brain that could be spread through insects and birds. Symptoms of this include fever, headaches, exhaustion, double vision, abnormal eye movement, neck stiffness, behavioral changes, and tremors. In a 1999 book called A Fever in Salem by Lori Wynn Carlson, she argues that during the winter of 1691 and the following spring, a doctor was called to treat the accusing young girls who suffered from these symptoms. Since he could not find an underlying cause, he concluded that they were possessed by witchcraft, which was a common diagnosis of unseen health conditions of that time. So, what actually started the Salem witch trials? Personally, I actually don't think there was one cause. I believe that the condition of the times, combined with the tensions building up in the community, was the perfect setting of something horrible to happen. Even though we'll likely never know for sure why, there's one thing that we can pull out of this. The Salem witch trials continues to be a caution against extremism in the judicial process. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can join us for more History Coles Notes. Be sure to check out all of our other amazing content that we have on the Horrifying History channel and follow us on social media. You will be the first, if you're there, to hear what comes up in the Horrifying History universe, and you can enter some great contests as well as connect with people like me. You can find the links to our social media in this show's notes. Thank you again for watching today, and until next time.